Hi everyone, welcome back. I am going to show you how to crochet the teapot balaclava. I'm doing it in different colors in this tutorial. I just wanted to show you the white model. I do have a written pattern for it, so if you're interested in like diagrams, a written pattern, that's available on my website. But like if you want to follow the tutorial, which is this video, that's free. Teapot balaclava. The back is like this lace up. I use elastic so it's like easy to stretch on and off the head, but a lot of people will like use yarn or whatever you have. This like elastic's really cheap and I have an abundance of it, so I use it to lace up the back of my balaclavas. It's pretty fun. All you really need is your yarn, crochet hook, a styrofoam head. I find it's a lot easier to build off of a styrofoam head than to like just wing it. You need just like the tiniest bit of polyfill to fill like the handle and the spout, but otherwise. So this is actually the original one I made, and it's made out of like a bunch of the scraps I had. It was just for funsies. I did it around Christmas of 2021. That went pretty viral, and I know I'm a little late making a tutorial. Better late than never if anyone's interested. Poppy wore it in one of her videos, which pretty cool. I sent it to her and she sent it right back to me. I am using my scraps for this. This is my scrap bin. This is about a year of scraps for me. I always use the exact same yarn for like everything, which is the Wonder Woolen by Fleece Artist. It's 100% Canadian wool and I dyed all myself. So like this is all yarn that I dyed myself. And I just essentially wanted to make one out of all of my scraps. I do about a scrap project like once a year, so like I'm gonna see how much of this I can use. I used about 2 skeins of the Wonder Woolen, so if you're interested and want to purchase it from them, this is not sponsored by the way, I'm just putting it out there. If you want to purchase the exact same wool as I did, I used 2 skeins of it, which is the 4-ounce one, and it's 116 grams each. Purchase 2 of those if you want to use the same wool. I use a 4mm crochet hook, and I'll talk about that more once I like actually get started. If you'd like to make these to sell them, that's fine. In the past I was like, don't do that, like that's kind of weird. I was really just following what other people told me to do. At this point I can't stop people from making them and selling them, and that doesn't really matter to me if you make them and sell them. But if you're going to make them and sell them, like mention that in the listing, like, hey, I'm using this pattern, so if somebody sees it and wants to make one from themselves, they can see, hey, this person followed this pattern, so they're gonna check out the free pattern that I'm putting up right here. I think that's all I really have to say before I start the tutorial. I'll go more into gauge and whatever, and all of that will be also mentioned in the written pattern. I'm lowering all my pattern prices to like $3 to $5. The ones on Etsy are still a bit higher because Etsy takes more fees from me, so I have to adjust that based on price. What's new in my life? Does anyone care? I dyed this little streak in my hair. In my undergrad, I had this little streak for a while. Also, I got a ton of gray hairs in this area, so I thought it'd be fun to like bring it back. Actually, I wasn't on the internet then, so I can't be like scroll back and see photos of me because I literally didn't post photos of me back then. Anyways, my year's been kind of crappy. My cat died, and then a month later my rabbit died, so it's kind of sucked, to be honest. But I'm like in good spirits. I survived the November to March kind of depression season. I survived and kept doing things despite 2 of my beloved pets dying. So I guess moral of the story is there is no moral of the story. They both died of like natural causes and there's nothing really I can do about it. Oh, in my last video, I mentioned that I applied for my master's, and here I am saying I got into the program I wanted to get into, so I'll be starting my master's in the fall. That might mean a shift in content or a little bit different stuff or no stuff going on. It really depends how busy I am. So I'm gonna be dead broke because I'm going to school in the States. I'm Canadian, by the way, and school's a lot cheaper here. So because I'm going to school in the States, I'm gonna be dead broke. So I will be selling stuff. If you have any questions, you can comment them and like help each other in the inbox, or send me an email. I reply to email a lot better. Don't send me DMs. Don't send me DMs on TikTok, Instagram, none of that. I will never see it. There's like a 0% chance I'll see that. Send me an email if you have a burning question, or if you can't figure out your gauge, send me an email and like we can figure that out together. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Good luck and enjoy the tutorial, I guess. Alright, any comments on my nails being bad and my hands being dry, you will be blocked. Just kidding, no. I started doing my own gel nails and I'm pretty new at it, so like they're not good and they're a bit grown out, but you know, can't get good at something if you don't practice. Anyways, here's my little gauge swatch. So it is 10 double crochets across, and then there's 3 rows of it, and I'm just gonna show you what's going on here. So it is 3 double crochets per inch. Make sure yours matches like pretty closely, because a lot of people are using thin yarn and then they get mad at me and send me angry emails being like, mine came out big enough for a toddler, and it's like, okay, well, you didn't do a gauge swatch, so like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? If you're not doing a gauge swatch, then like, peace and love, you can't get mad at me for making it come out wrong. So the first thing I'm going to do is the circle. Now the headpiece is made up of a bunch of circles. Let's start with the first one. I'm going to start with my slip knot, and also I'm using 4mm crochet hook. It says size G on it because this one's so old. But, and also I'm using a bunch of different scraps that have like knots in it, so like just try to ignore that. So you can either start with a magic circle, but I choose to chain 3. Also, sorry, before I even start, this is not a tutorial on how to crochet. If you don't know how to crochet already, then like you gotta go figure out how to crochet and then come back here. I crochet very funny with both hands, and a lot of people get angry in the comments because my fingers are covering what I'm doing. I'm telling you what I'm doing, and I'm kind of showing you what I'm doing. I'm not going to show you directly what I'm doing because you got to know how to crochet to follow this tutorial. So I don't like doing magic circles, so I usually chain 3, and then I put my hook into the first little chain I made, and then I pull through, and then I crochet into the circle. Totally up to the person what they want to do. After that, I'm chaining 3, and then I'm going to double crochet 12 into that circle we just made, or you can do a magic circle, doesn't matter. Alright, so I've put 12 into this little circle we've made, and as you can see, this thing right here is my chain 3. Now I'm going to put my hook in the very first double crochet. Instead of putting it at the top of the chain 3, I mean you can do that, but I like putting it in the top of my double crochet, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull through, and we've completed our first circle. Now I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to put an increase in every single stitch. So that means 2 double crochets in every single stitch. And I'm going to start in that stitch that we just chained out of. So 1, oh, look at that, we're switching colors. 2, and I'm just going to move this knot and crochet over it. So I like to crochet into the stitch that I chained out of. You can not do that if you want, you can skip that and then crochet into the back one, but doesn't matter, up to you. So I'm just going to continue increasing around the whole circle, and that'll leave me with 24 double crochets. So I've finished crocheting all the way around, and you may see that little thing there and be like, that's a stitch, I should crochet into it. Don't do that. That is where our chain 3 is coming out of, and because we jammed the first increase where the chain 3 came out of, we're not going to do into the back part of the chain 3. If that makes sense? Okay. Next we're going to do the same thing we last did. So obviously that's the chain 3. This is our first double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook in the top of like that first double crochet, yarn over, pull through. There is one of our 2 row circles. Now we need a lot of 2 row circles. We actually need 4 of them. So you'll have to do this 4 times, but I'm going to show you how to do the 3 row circle and the 4 row circle. Might as well get it all done at once. Anyways, so to start the 3rd round, we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to double crochet 1, increase. So double crochet, increase around the whole circle. I'm going to put that first double crochet into the base of our chain 3 like we did the last row. So that's right here. So I'm going to do first double crochet, and then the next one we're going to increase. Then I'm going to repeat that around the whole circle. So double crochet, increase. So I just completed our 3rd row, and obviously we're not going to crochet into like the quote-unquote last one. That's not really the last one because we started there. Anyways, I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the first double crochet that we did, skipping that chain 3, and going to do a slip stitch. And like that is our 3 row circle. We will end up making 3 of these. I know there's a lot of circles, but don't worry, it goes by pretty fast. But I'm gonna show you how to do the 4 row circle. So chain 3 as we always have, and then insert your hook into that first double crochet that we just chained 3 out of. I'm gonna do 1 double crochet, another double crochet into the next stitch, and then an increase into the next stitch. So the pattern is double crochet, increase. And then we're going to repeat that around the whole circle. So double crochet, increase. Double crochet, increase around the whole circle. Right, so I finished the 4th row, and as you can see, honestly the colors look really fun. I think this is going to make a really cool teapot. I'm going to obviously skip that chain 3, insert my hook into that first double crochet. I'm going to slip stitch and pull that through, snip off my yarn, and I like to bring my end to the back, and I like to weave it in back there. As you can see, I don't really have many ends. I just kind of have like the bulky areas where I like crocheted over the knots I made. And like honestly, I prefer to do that because it prevents me from having a bunch of ends to eventually weave in. This is our 4-row circle, and you need to make 2 of these. So 2 of the 4 rows, 3 of the 3 rows, and then 4 of the 2 rows. Confusing, I'll show you later, don't worry. So this one is about 6 inches across, approximately, just approximately. The 3-row one is about, I want to say 4.5 inches across, like if we don't count the overlap. And then the 2-row is about 3 inches across. So keep that in mind. You want to get it around the same size. If it's like a tiny bit bigger, like don't worry too much. You're gonna have to overlap it anyways. If you're like way off, if you're like more than half an inch off, then like I would recommend redoing it or adding another row. All of that will be written down on the pattern, so if you need more measurements, then head to the pattern, but otherwise, you know, finish your circles. Next, we'll have to do the back panels. So you need 2 back panels. I will show you how to do them. I'm going to start with a slip knot, and you need to foundation double crochet 20, or you can chain 20 and then do 20 double crochets back into it. I like the foundation double crochet because like it doesn't restrict things as much as having a chain, but if you don't know how to do that, or that's too daunting, then stick to your chain. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm not going to go super in depth because there's so many other good tutorials on how to do that out there, but I'll show you anyways. So I'm going to chain 3, then, oop, I got hay stuck to it. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that first chain. Oops. I'm going to yarn over, pull through. So I have 3 on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And if you can kind of see, that's kind of how it forms. It's going to form like across this way. I'll show you it again. Yarn over, insert your hook into that first little chain we made. Or I guess this is the row we're making. Insert your hook into there, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And as you can see, these little clusters up here are like the foundation, I guess, like chain that we're making. And then these are our double crochets down here. So I'm going to show you one more time. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch we just made, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and then pull through 2 again. And that is how you foundation double crochet. It's a good time to learn. I really love doing this. You can do it for half double crochets too, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm going to do 20 of these. So I have 20 double crochets. So I've got my foundation double crochet of 20, and as you can see, the color change, not very glamorous there, but that's all right. So I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to chain 3, and that's going to count as our first double crochet. Instead of jamming one in that one, I'm just going to count that chain 3 as the first stitch. Then I'm going to double crochet 19 across this to the very end. Normally, yeah. I actually don't remember what I was going to say. That's alright. Alright, as you can see, I'm at the very end. I've got this hideous knot that maybe I should loosen. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing I did 2 more times. Or wait, no, 3 more times. So I have 5 rows in total. Right now I have 2 rows. So I'm just going to repeat that by chaining 3. 1, 2, oh great. Great, that's going to look hideous. No, I can cover it. Anyways, that counts as our first double crochet, and then we're going to put our first stitch into like technically the second stitch, but because the chain 3 counts as the first one, whatever. And to hide my knots, maybe I'll show you now. I just kind of like fold it in as best as I can and hold it down with my other finger for when I double crochet over it, and then I just kind of like pull it out like that, and then it kind of hides it. I'm not too worried because half the piece you won't really see because it's like technically on the inside. Anyways, I'm going to continue double crocheting 19 more times to create the third row. Then I'm going to repeat that 2 more times, so I have 5 rows in total. So here we go. Here is our final piece. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. You need to repeat this a second time, so you have 2 panels. These are going on the back of the heads, and obviously like weaving your ends. As you can see, there's like little knots and chunks, but honestly, I really don't mind it. You're not going to see the inside, so I kind of really like the way this looks. I think it's so funky. The next thing we're going to do is the handle. I'm going to start with chaining 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Here's my chain 10. Going to insert my hook into the first chain we made, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. So we're kind of connecting that end together, and we're creating this horrifying loop that's around my finger. So we're going to work in half double crochets. I'm going to start with chain 1, then I'm going to half double crochet 10. Okay. 10. Here we go. It's a little hard to see. Maybe I'll work in a different color. There is our first row. Now I'm going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet we made. Get started on our second row. Chain 1. So did you notice in the circle I put my first double crochet, I did my stitches in the stitch that I chained out of? For the handle, I like to do it in the back one and skip the first one. As long as you're doing 10, you're fine. So for the next 3 rows, we're going to do the exact same thing, which is chain 1 and half double crochet 10 around, slip stitch into the first stitch, and then repeat again. So we're going to repeat that 3 more times so that we have 4 rows. I will show you that again. So 1. Now here's the confusing part, or it's not really confusing, it's just like a lot of repetitiveness. So we're going to, I'm going to slip stitch into the top here. Obviously I have 4 rows of half double crochets, of 10 half double crochets in the circle. I've got 4 rows of that. Next thing I'm going to do is chain 1, half double crochet 3, slip stitch into the next 5 stitches, and then half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So I will show you how to do that. Chain 1, we're going to half double crochet into 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then in the next 3 stitches I'm going to slip stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the remaining 2 stitches that are empty, I'm going to half double crochet 2. So 1, 2. And that leaves us with this like little dip here, and then, I can't forget, you gotta slip stitch into the top there. And then the next row, as you can see there's a slant, the next row I'm just going to half double crochet around like I've normally been doing, which is the chain 1, half double crochet 10, and that is my little round. For row 6, there we go, chain 1, and oh my god, I've got this bulky knot in the way. I'm just going to half double crochet 10 all the way around my little loop, and I'll show you once I get to my little slip stitches how I crochet through them. So I literally just treat them like crochet stitches. So there we go, I've got 10, and you're going to start to notice it's going to start to bend and curve once we keep repeating this. It's a little hard to tell right now. Oh, I just did it in the wrong direction. So it's kind of bending this way, and you're really going to notice it after you do it a bunch of times. So row 5, which is the weird row of the half double crochet, then slip stitch 5, and then the next row, which is row 6, which is just half double crochet 10, that little chunk we're redoing this 4 more times. So we're going to have rows 5 and 6 repeated 5 times in total, if that makes sense. I'll just show you it one more time. In total, we want to do that 5 times. That 2-row cluster, we're going to repeat it 5 times. So in total, we're going to have 10 rows of going beep boop, you know what I mean? So this is technically row 7, but I'm repeating what I did for row 5. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to half double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to half double crochet into the remaining 2 stitches, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that half double crochet. Then I'm going to repeat the chain 1, half double crochet 10 around the whole thing, and as you can see, you can really tell it's starting to curve. So as you can tell, it's really starting to curve. Not really, honestly, you're not going to see it until later. Put my finger in there to show you, I guess. Yeah, so I've only done that like, what, 2 times? So I gotta repeat this 3 more times. All right, okay, so I now have 14 rows, and it's kind of gets muddy in the center because like you have all those like slip stitch rows going on. So I flip it out to the outside to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 rows. And sometimes it gets real twisted up, but just bend it back into shape. Force her to be the shape you want her to be. And look at that. It's looking quite like a handle. Once I wash it and pin it, it gets quite handle shape, especially if it's going like this. Like, look at that. So now we've done 14 rows. For rows 15 to 18, so the next 4 rows, we're just going to do the chain 1, half double crochet 10 all the way around, then slip stitch into the first half double crochet. So nothing interesting, very similar to what we've been doing before. Yup. At least this part's easy, and like honestly, I think the handle is like the most difficult part. Actually, the spout's kind of difficult in some senses. So there's our handle, and I just kind of stretch it. The great thing about washing is we can kind of make it the shape we want it to be, because right now she's looking real funky, but overall, that is the handle, looking good. So the next is the spout. So we start them off pretty similarly. So start off with a slip stitch, and then, or slip knot, oh my goodness. And we're going to slip stitch, or not slip stitch, oh my gosh, chain 6. That's not my day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then like we did with the handle, we're gonna form a circle, and then we're gonna slip stitch into that first chain we made to form a little circle, and then we'll be crocheting around the circle. I'm just putting my finger in there for now. Then I'm going to chain 1, then I'm going to half double crochet 6 all the way around our whole little circle we just made. So 1, 6. All right, it's real difficult to see right now. That's what we've got. I'm going to insert my hook into that first half double crochet we made, do a slip stitch, and then row 2. So this is row 1 that we just completed, and there's 6 stitches around in total. So to start row 2, we're going to chain 1. Unlike the last thing we just did, I'm going to half double crochet starting in the stitch that I chained out of. I know it's confusing that I'm going back and forth. Really, it does not matter that much. Like, it's all going to turn out pretty much the same. Half double crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to slip stitch 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet we made in that row. That'll give us 6 all the way around. It's a little difficult to look at and it's hard to look at, but don't worry, work with me. For row 3, we're going to chain 1, we're going to half double crochet 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to increase in that last stitch. Okay, this is, I don't know why I put that color change there. That's a little difficult. There we go. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that half double crochet we made the first row. Row 4, I'm going to chain 1 and then half double crochet 6. So 1, and then I'm going to increase in that last stitch. Then I'm going to slip stitch in the top of that first half double crochet of the row, and that brings us to a complete row 4, which is going to be 8 stitches all the way around. Row 5, we're going to chain 1, half double crochet 7, then we're going to increase in that last stitch, which will give us 9, and then obviously slip stitch into the top of that first half double crochet, which completes row 5 and gives us 9 double crochets around. There's our spout shape. Row 6, we're going to chain 1, half double crochet 8, so 1, then increase in that last stitch, then we're going to slip stitch in the top of that first half double crochet we did. So that's the end of row 6, and we'll have 10 stitches. Row 7, chain 1, we're going to half double crochet 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to half double crochet 3, 1, 2, 3. I'll move this out of the way. Then we're going to increase in that last stitch, and that'll give us 11 stitches. And obviously slip stitch into the top of that first half double crochet we did. So this is kind of what it's starting to look like. For row 8, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to half double crochet 10. 1, 10, then we're going to increase in the last stitch. Then we're going to slip stitch to the first half double crochet, and row 10 will give us 12 stitches in total. As you can see, it's kind of creating this shape. Row 9, we're going to chain 1, half double crochet 1, and then we're going to slip stitch 7. So 1, 7, then we're going to half double crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in the last stitch we're going to put an increase. Then slip stitch into our first stitch. So that was row 9, and we ended up with 13 stitches. Row 10, we're going to chain 1, half double crochet 12, so 1, 12, then we're going to increase in that last stitch, then slip stitch first half double crochet we did. Now we're completed row 10, which gives us 14 stitches. Now we're moving on to row 11. We're going to chain 1, half double crochet into the next 2 stitches, then we're going to slip stitch into the next 7 stitches, 7. Then we're going to half double crochet into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to increase in that last stitch. And slip stitch into that first half double crochet we did. And we just finished row 11 and we have 15 stitches total. As you can see, the actual like spout shape is finally forming. Alright, so now we're moving on to row 12. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to half double crochet 14. So 1. Then in the last stitch I'm going to increase. Then I'm going to, oh, there's a hair. Then I'm going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet in that row we made. Then we just finished row 12 and that was 16 stitches. Now we're moving on to row 13. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to half double crochet 3. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the next 8 stitches. 8, and then I'm going to half double crochet 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to increase in that last stitch. So we just finished row 13 and that is 17 stitches. As you can see now we're getting more spout shaped. So we're moving on to row 14. We're going to chain 1. We're going to half double crochet 7, 1, 7. Then we're going to increase, and then we're going to half double crochet 8, 8, and then in that last stitch we're going to increase. And then obviously slip stitch into that first half double crochet. So we just completed row 14 and it's 19 stitches. Row 15, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to half double crochet 8. Then we're going to increase in the next stitch. And then we're going to half double crochet 9. And obviously slip stitch into the top of that first half double crochet. So we just finished row 15 and that was a total of 21 stitches. Now on to row 16. We're going to chain 1, we're going to half double crochet 9, then we're going to increase, and then we're going to half double crochet 10. And then increase in that last stitch. So that was row 16 and that was a total of 23 stitches. Now we're on to our final row. I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to half double crochet 10, then increase in the next stitch. Then I'm going to half double crochet 11, and then I'm going to increase in that last stitch. So completing row 17, I have 25 stitches in total, and I'm just going to slip stitch a couple times, chop off my end, And this is the spout. That is the spout shape. And we're going to soft sculpt it a bit once it's washed and dried. But overall it's pretty good. Pretty solid. It looks like a little elephant trunk. So I guess if you're making like a small elephant stuffed animal, like this would also be great. Handle and spout. I'm going to measure them right now so you have like an approximate idea. This one is like 8 inches across. I guess like 6 inches wide if you want to count it like this way. Then this one, it really depends on how you position it, but I would say it's about 6 or 7 inches wide, depending on how squished you want it. Alright, now it's time to do the top, so I'm going to slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 3, or you can do a magic circle, whatever you prefer. I'm going to then slip stitch into the top so I create a loop, or you can just do a magic circle, whatever you like. There's the loop I'm going to crochet into. I'm going to chain 1, then I'm half double crocheting 10 into the little circle we created. Alright, now that I've got 10 half double crochets into this little circle, I'm going to put my hook into the first half double crochet I made, and I'm going to do a slip stitch to close the circle, then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to half double crochet 2 into every single stitch, so I end up with 10 increases, so I'll have 20 in total. Alright, here I am, finished the second row, so I'm going to insert my hook into that first half double crochet, like I normally do a slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to half double crochet 1, then half double crochet increase. So 1 increase, 1 increase, 1 increase, all around the whole circle, which will leave me with 30 stitches, I believe. So 1 increase around the whole circle. I'm going to insert in my first half double crochet, yarn over, pull through, so I have a slip stitch, and that is the top. So the next row, I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to half double crochet into the back loops only. Instead of inserting your hook through both of them, you're inserting your hook through just the back one, like that. So I'll show you again. Instead of doing this, you're just going to do this through the back loop. You don't have to, but I kind of like it that way. It just kind of like makes it different. Then you're just going to do that to every single stitch around the circle. So I'm done going around the circle, and as you can see, that's a bit messy, it sits kind of flat, which is nice. So I'm going to insert my hook in that first half double crochet, slip stitch, and then just weave my end in. I don't weave my ends in for like the top piece because like you're not going to see it because this is going to be sewn against the top. But now that we have that piece done, we're going to do the little, I don't know, what do I call it? I guess I call it like a nub because it's like the little thing that goes on top of the teapot. But I'm just going to start with a magic circle, or you can chain 3 and slip stitch like me. Chain 3 and slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1, then I'm going to half double crochet 6 into that little loop we just made. Alright, it's kind of difficult to see, but I'm just going to start pushing it like this. Then I'm going to find my first half double crochet. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of it. I'm going to chain 1 to start my next row, and then I'm going to half double crochet 6 all the way around. There, I'm all finished doing my half double crochet 6. Is this not in focus? Oh my gosh, has it been in focus on that the whole time? Great. I'm sorry. At least it's not complicated. Then I'm going to find my first half double crochet of that row, insert my hook, and slip stitch into there. And that's like our little nub. That's going to go on top of our little teapot thing like this. Obviously I'll start with teapot lid and the little nub. Then we have the handle, we have the spout, then I have 2 4-row circles. I have 3 3-row circles. I've got 4 2-row circles. And then I've got the 2 panels. So that is all we need. There, let me zoom out. Perfect. We're gonna take our spout, handle, lid, and nub, and we're gonna set that aside because we don't need that right now. I'm going to get started on pinning and sewing everything. And if you're interested in like diagrams and stuff, I have like a written pattern with all the diagrams. But that's for purchase. Girl, I need money to pay for tuition. You really only need to see the head. So I have a styrofoam head. As you can see, this one's pretty worn. You know, I get them at Michael's Craft Supply because that's the only craft store that's in my area. But yeah, you know, I have this one and I reuse it a bunch of times. You can reuse it for a bunch of other things. I've seen other people online use those squishmallows. We're gonna start with the 4-row circle. We're gonna start pinning everything together. I'm sorry if it makes this atrocious noise. But I just like to pin things down in a general kind of location, and then from there I can move it, I can repin it, you know, and it's okay if your circles are like a tiny bit larger or even I guess like a tiny bit smaller, because you're going to be pinning it and stretching it based on whatever form you have in front of you. So like don't worry too much if your circle, you know, doesn't have the right stitch count, because at the end of the day it really doesn't matter for this kind of pattern. It's very like free formed, which is why I like to work this way. So I've got this one right over the mouth, and I'm going to take a 3-row circle, 3 rows, and I'm going to put it right here. Actually, is that my favorite one? No. This one seems nicer. Which one do we think? That goes in the front. Maybe this one. 3-row circle goes right here. And as for like what goes on top and below, it really doesn't matter for this pattern. Like, your circles can overlap whichever way you like. All right, I'm gonna get another 3-row circle. I'm gonna pin it right here. And as you can see, I'm just generally pinning it down because I'm gonna have to like move and adjust them later. So, you know, don't go too nuts with the pins for now, because you're gonna have to move something. It's gonna happen, it's only natural. Maybe I want this one to face forward like this. Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, and you may be wondering, why is there a door behind my desk? And that's because I live in my parents' attic, and as you can see, this is where the wall starts to slant, which is right in front of my desk. This is only really like 4 feet off the ground. So there's this like miniature door, and that's where all the insulation is. But like the door is shut. It's not like we're going in there. It's just like a room full of insulation to like keep the house cool or warm. Anyways, I'm sure somebody's gonna ask because there's like that old knob with that skeleton key looking thing. Anyways, we're gonna flip our head around and bring it back up. Then I've got a 4-row circle that I'm putting right smack on top. And I'm just kind of fitting it over the pins I already have up there. Look at that. Fabulous. Then I'm going back over here, and you can kind of stretch and fit everything. I think I want my 3-row circle to be on top of this one, so I'm going to move it like this. But again, it's totally up to you, whatever you think looks good. All right. Now, we're gonna do some cheek stuff. So we have 2-row circles, and I'm gonna put it over here. Let's see, do I want them over or under? Maybe I want them over, because these ones are pretty fun. The first one, actually, let me see which one I want. I'll do this one. The first one goes up here. Keep in mind where the eyeball is. You really don't want to get like super close to the eyeball, because I find it's just like, it kind of gets fussy, you know? You don't like things kind of getting in your eyes when you wear it. Anyways, pin that one down. Time for the second one, and the second one's going right here. Actually, I want this one to go over because I like that color. Alright, looking pretty okay so far. Now we're going to do it on the other side. And then we're putting the other one right here. Actually, maybe I want it to go like this. Exact same as the other side. Looking pretty good. Now we're going to put the back panels in. And this is where people are like, oh my gosh, you're really stretching it. So this is the center of the head, obviously. So I like to take this and put it under here. Like that for now. For now. Oh, that just fell down the crack. I am not getting that back. This goes like that. And then I'm just going to pull it under the circles I have as best as I can. And this one stretches like a lot, and I'm not worried about that because this is all kind of gonna like resolve itself once we wash it. And I've seen a lot of people making this stuff using my tutorials and not washing it. And you know, I'm not here to criticize you, but I'm here to tell you that washing it makes a huge difference, especially if you're working with wool. You know, and just probably acrylic too. I'm just stretching it and pinning it down. You might be saying, hey, this is a huge gap. No, it's not. Just stretch it. You can stretch all of them too, just a bit. Like this one could use a bit of stretching. There we go. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much room between the back. But like once you lace it up, it's really not that much room. So I'm going to get the other one we've made. I'm going to repeat it again by placing this corner right under here. Right in that center. And essentially just stretching everything out. There we go. Oh, the side's falling apart a bit. But that's what we've got for the back, you know. And you can put them closer together if you would like. No, actually, they're pretty good. Pretty good. Now, I usually go back to the front at this time and kind of fix everything that was like sloppily pinned on the first time. As you can see, this one's kind of fallen apart. And I'm just pinning everything kind of in a better place now. So as you can see, there's this weird like peak here, and that's when I like to pull it this way, and I pull this one this way, and it kind of, you know, fixes that line. Same with up here. Just gonna pull it this way, pull this way. Pull it this way, pull this one this way, and this one this way, like this. You know, it's looking a lot better, but as you can see, it's kind of got that peak, which I don't really like, so I'm just gonna pull that one this way, and pull it this way. And here we go. We're getting somewhere. And at this point, you can, you know, make them more circular, because this one's right smack in the middle of the head. Ooh, that's a big pin. Alright, and I'm noticing, okay, I don't really like what's going on here. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go like this. Thinking, oh hey, maybe I go like this and this again. You know, it's not permanent, so it's nice to be able to move things around. Okay. Oh no, I moved this. Alright. It's looking pretty good. I think I might just fix this one part here. Keep sliding back when I try to do this. It's really difficult to do it on a table because I usually do it on my lap, which is so much more incredibly easier. Okay, I think we're at like an appropriate, you know, part. Oh, I want to fix the bottom here. I'm not a huge fan of like how it goes like that, so I'm just going to try to pull it this way the best I can and pull it that way the best I can. Oh my gosh, this is miserable, absolutely miserable to do on this table. Okay, see, I like the way this looks better, so I'm going to repeat the same for the other side. I love it. And the center of the head is like just mildly to the right a bit more, but that really doesn't bother me because it's properly covered, but also nothing is perfect. And I kind of like the way it looks, especially because all of my pieces are a little asymmetrical. As long as everything's pretty much covered and you feel happy about it, then you're good to start sewing. So I'm going to show you. Okay, let me move it up a bit. This is the side, front, other side, back, top of the head. And I know it's a bit hard to see because I'm using so many different colors, which is like actually so cool. I love the way it looks. But, you know, as long as you follow the instructions, you should be good. Once you're finished completely pinning everything, the next step is to sew everything. I've got my needle and thread right here, and I'm just going to start sewing. I don't know where I'm going to start. Probably back here. Just hide my knot. I'm going to sew down all of the exposed seams right now. And you may ask, what is an exposed seam? So all of this stuff right here is the exposed seams. This here, around here, here. Literally every flap, you're going to sew it down because you don't want anything moving. Because right now, the only thing holding it together is pins. Alright, here we go. Everything is sewn down, and as you can tell, it makes a huge difference. It just makes everything so, like, seamless and flat and nice, and it's going to look so good once it's done washed, or once I wash it. So I'm just going to take it off. Sometimes I leave pins in there, like, yeah, like this, and I just forget they're there, so, like, now is a good time to take all your pins out. Nope, seems to be the only one. So I'm going to flip it inside out. As you can see, oh, lost another pin. Make sure you take all the pins out before you wash it. Don't stab yourself. Look at all these seams. And I'm just going to put it right back onto the head form. Inside out. And it's not looking good. It's looking like a mess. And so this is a good time to weave in ends, and we're going to sew over all of the exposed seams, so you don't have anything that's like, you know, gonna flap around or hit your face weird or whatever. So good time to sew all this down. So I've stitched everything up. As you can see, it's kind of moved on the head form. Everything is all stitched up, front and back, or inside and out is what I'm trying to say. I've got a few loose. Oop. All right, there it is, looking good. I also stitched the little nub onto the top of the hat, so it's time to wash all of our pieces. Now I'm in my basement with a little tub on the floor, getting it nice and wet, saturating it with water, and then I just take a bar of ivory soap and I'm just like getting it real soapy and felting it as best I can. And like after I do this, obviously I dump out the water and then I refill it with more water and keep like felting it and washing it. I use ivory soap because like you should never use it. I mean, it's meant for skin, but like whenever I use it on my skin, it makes me so dry. It like sucks all of the oil out of my skin. So yeah, that's why I use it on wool, because I find it just like takes literally all of the oil out of it and it smells neutral. Anyways, I have it in this little towel and I'm just wrapping it up so I can squeeze all the water out. And I also like to step on it to try to like smush the water out as best I can. And here I am, crouched on the floor of my parents' basement, and I just put the balaclava over the styrofoam head, and I just pin it in a few places, as you can see, like right in the temple. Is that the temple? I think so. And just like around the eyes, and then I also do some around the chin so it doesn't like droop as it's drying. I don't put them anywhere else because like that's really the only place it needs it, because this is just like a head shape. And as for like the little pieces I got here, you can stuff them with something so they dry, like you can stuff them with plastic, but I just kind of shape them with my hands and they're fine. Here's my piece all dried. Yeah, I think it looks great. I'm so excited to get it all finished, and all of my little pieces are also dry, and this is a good time to stuff them. So I just have a bit of polyfill. And I'm not stuffing it like super hard, I'm just gently stuffing it. There is the little spout stuffed, and as you can see it's going to start moving, but we're going to soft sculpt it kind of back into place like this. Alright, here's the handle, here's the spout, and I just kind of pin it to wherever I think it should go. There's really no real place to like, you can put it wherever you want, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think I'll put it on like this. The first thing we want to do is we want to close this little spout. I mean, you could leave it open if you really wanted to. And I want the spout like right here, I think. Oh my gosh, sorry about my cat. So I'm going to pin it on. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Felix, get off. Felix, get off. No! No, 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 no. Oh, you're gonna knock everything over. Oh. I'm sitting here with soaking wet hair. And this guy thinks it's all about him. I normally don't let him upstairs where I'm at, but his brother passed away, so, you know, nothing's really off limits right now because he's lonely. Say hi. Wow, you're screaming and crying. Now you're being held and you're fine. I have it pinned in the area I like. I'm just going to start sewing. I like to start at the top, this area. And great, now it's covered in cat hairs. And I'm not sewing it directly down. I'm kind of pulling it as I sew it, so it has like a larger, I guess, surface area. Like this. You see, I'm just kind of pulling it flat like this. Oop. As I stitch it down, just to make it a little more flush to the headpiece. Oh, and my poor handle. We've got the spout on, and as you can see, it's looking a little rough, but don't worry too much. I'm just gonna pull this thread nice and tight, and then I'm going to knot it a bunch. And at this point, it's time to soft sculpting. So as you can see, I have a knot here. I'm going to insert my needle, and then I'm just going to bring it like just under the surface, or just like straight through the stitches essentially. I'm going to keep bringing it along here, just under, not sewing anything down. I'm just bringing the thread under until I get to about, I'm going to say like this point is good. And then I'm just going to pull it a bit, and notice when I pull it, it kind of like brings this up a bit. Then after I pull it, I'm going to place a knot there. Oh geez, this is difficult. So I'm going to keep it pulled, and I'm going to place a knot. Don't pull it too tight, you just want to pull it a bit. And see, notice how this kind of like straightens out a bit. Now I'm going to repeat that again by putting my needle just under the surface of these stitches. Everything's going in and out of focus. There's not really much I can do about that right now. Yeah, so under the surface of these stitches. Then I'm going to pull it here, and notice it went from this, and I pull it, and it goes to this. So I'm going to pull it a bit more, and then I'm going to place a knot there. There we go, we've pretty much solved that problem. And now for the spout, I want it to go down like this. So then I just kind of like put my needle straight through it. Pull it again, and then I'm going to place a knot there. And there we go. That is our little spout. And sometimes you just kind of have to mush it around a bit to get it to sit the way you want it to. Perfect, looking good. Now it's time to sew the handle on. I'm doing essentially the same thing I did with the other side, the spout. I'm just kind of going to choose a spot, and then I'm going to like kind of stretch it so it sits a bit more flush. I'm just repeating the same thing again for the bottom thing, the bottom part. This is where we're at so far. Looking awesome, looking very teapot-ish, teapot-like. The last thing to do is attach the little hat or lid. I just have like the tiniest bit of polyfill, and I just kind of flatten it out in here. I don't want too much because I don't want it to stand up too much. Don't want it, yeah, like that. And this one literally goes like right smack on top of the head. You could place it more back here if you'd like. I just kind of put it right in the center and just start sewing. I don't pull these edges because I don't want it to be flat. I want it to stay like this. So I'm just like very careful about how I hold it. Alright, I'm all finished. Fabulous. Last thing to do is to add the lacing onto the back of the head. And I'm just using this elastic. You can use whatever you like, but I just like using elastic because it's really easy to pull on and off the head. So we're going to be weaving it through like the double crochet, between the double crochets instead of like the end. I mean, I guess you could do it there. I just find it easier to put it through the double crochets. And I like to put it through this one, and I skip one, and then I lace it through the next one. I just find, it's unnecessary to put it through all of them sometimes. But again, you can do whatever you'd like. I like to tie mine in a little bow, and then I like to burn the ends just so they don't fray. But look how stretchy it is. I just stretch it on and off the head, which makes it super easy to get on and off. This is the balaclava on my head. It's a bit hard to see. Also, I'm in a bit of a messy room. Sorry. But I'm a little muffled because I'm speaking through it. But yeah. I really love it because it looks like I'm pouring some tea. But, yep, finished balaclava. So yeah, if you have any questions or need help with anything, send me an email. And if you'd like the written pattern, I'll put that in the description. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope your balaclava turned out good, and I hope you learned something. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All I have to say. See you in the next video. Goodbye.